Welcome, everyone. I hope you guys had a blast with your first session with Mr. Andrew Stotts, CFA. He's been a regular speaker at our career events, and he's the past president of CFA Society Thailand. So nice to have you all with us. Good job kasi on time kayo. Mukhang pag-post kagad nung link, you immediately signed in here sa ating breakout. And you are here at the relationship manager or sales career track of the PJFIS 2024. Chart the future, unlocking opportunities for tomorrow. And we are thrilled to have you here as we dive deep into the world of finance and sales. You'll be meeting rare gems, guys. These people have both finance and sales skills, which is, hindi mo siya madalas makita. And if you are posting about today's session, do not forget our hashtags. Our official hashtags are hashtag PJFIS 2024, hashtag chart the future, and hashtag unlocking opportunities. And whether you are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or maybe in LinkedIn, please do share your insights and experiences about the PJFIS, well, especially for this breakout, and share that to a wider community. And let's get ready for an exciting day of learning and growth here at PJFIS 2024. So I'm sure many of you are eager to learn more about what a career as a relationship manager or salesperson is really like. And it's perfect because you are in for a treat this afternoon. For our first breakout session, we'll be hosting a panel discussion featuring seasoned relationship managers or sales professionals. And these professionals will be sharing their experiences with you, their insights about their roles, and also what does this career path look like, no? Parang how did they start? How did they, end up being in this position or in this career? To kick things off and guide us through the insightful discussion, our moderator for this session is the head of Client Solutions Division at Metro Bank. And he is a CFA charter holder, and he's an active volunteer also of CFA Society Philippines. I'd like you guys to give a warm virtual welcome to Mr. Paulo Narciso, CFA. And I'll be turning the floor to him, so he will be introducing our panelists for today.
Okay, thank you very much, Rochelle. And thank you to the CFA Society Philippines for inviting me today to moderate this panel. So as you know, everyone, the theme of today's event is Chart the Future and to unlock opportunities for tomorrow. So whether you're a CFA candidate or someone interested in pursuing a career in finance, this panel aims to provide key insights on how you can unlock those opportunities in being a relationship manager or being a salesperson. So at this point, I'm excited to introduce our two distinguished panelists today who bring a wealth of knowledge and experience in their respective fields. Okay, so for our first panelist, she is the department head of account management under Metrobank Trust Banking Group, covering all traditional trust accounts under North Metro Manila. She's a CFA charter holder and a graduate of Ateneo de Manila University with a degree in AB Economics, cum laude, and a minor in Development Management. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Maria Beatriz Batalier, CFA. Hi, Bea.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, Bea. Thanks for joining us. And for our other panelists, we have the Assistant Vice President and Product Manager for Products at Atram Trust Corporation. He leads the development of new investment products and oversees the management of existing products. His role ensures that all products are not only viable and compliant with regulatory standards, but also continue to meet this criteria over time. He brings his expertise to the forefront, providing invaluable sales and marketing support to the sales teams. He delivers comprehensive sales training to both sales teams and agents of Atram's partner channels. Additionally, he's also involved in pitches to prospective clients and channels, ensuring that the sales force is well equipped to meet client needs effectively. He also has a wealth of speaking experience, has delivered talks on a variety of topics, including PERA, various Atram products, derivatives, hedging, and hedge accounting. His extensive background across these multiple functions within financial institutions enriches his presentations with practical insights and comprehensive understanding. Before his current role, he also was part of the risk and analytics team of Atram, risk analytics team and investments team of Atram. And then prior to Atram, he also worked at CSIP Gores Velayo & Co., or SGV, in the Global Derivatives Valuation Center, Philippines. Also the Accounting Standards Group and the Financial Services Risk Management Advisory Group and Audit of Financial Institutions. So his diverse experience across front, middle, and back office functions underpins his well-rounded perspective. He's also a certified trust professional, a chartered financial analyst, and a certified public accountant. He has a Bachelor of Science. He's a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration and Accountancy, graduating cum laude from the University of the Philippines. Let's give a warm welcome to Mr. Daniel Christopher De Jesus, CFA.
Good
Hi,
afternoon,
DJ.
everyone. Hi, Paolo, and thank you for reading the very long version of that.
Yeah, it's a pretty good CV. And welcome both of you to this discussion. So I guess at this point, let's dive right in. No? So I'm sure the audience that we have right now are very interested in knowing more about you guys. Maybe to start, let's set the stage by discussing what the nature of relationship management and sales roles are. So both career paths require a mix of technical finance skills and strong interpersonal abilities. But maybe could you touch on what sets them apart and how do they align with the future of finance? Maybe DJ, you can start with that.
Okay, that's a very mouthy question. But I'd like to answer your question by saying that you're really more aligning the technical aspect of investing, right, to something that's really more needs based. And the basic need that we're really looking for is the growth of your money, whether that's through income generation or capital growth or even capital preservation. Those are like the main objectives that you're trying to breach to your client. So it's really looking for what are the opportunity sets that are available to you, and then being able to provide them as investment goals for your clients. And it's really that. It's making sure that you're meeting the needs of these clients, being able to empathize with, their journeys. It's really more about their financial journeys and like how they want to be continuously thriving within this environment. And it really depends also on the types of clients that you manage. Here at Atram, I've had the benefit of being able to talk to both institutional and wealth clients, and the needs are very different. So it's really being able to cater the opportunities out there for investing and then make sure that it fits the needs of these clients.
Okay, thank you, DJ. I mean, Bea, would you like to add to what DJ just mentioned?
Yeah, actually I agree with DJ. The way we actually sell our trust products as well, it's really needs based. So there are a lot of products out there and sorry, is there okay, moving on. There are a lot of products, very similar products across all banks and trust institutions out there. So, really, what sets it apart is how you understand the client's needs and how you're able to respond in order to address those. So, yeah, very similar products across all trust institutions, but the relationship standpoint, that's actually your value added proposition to the client.
Okay, thanks, Bea. So I think what we're getting is, I get the main point is you have to understand the objectives of your client and the goals of your client and the needs of your client. It's not really about just product pushing, right? So you just don't keep selling to just anyone. So it's really a more targeted approach when it comes to finance. Okay, great. So maybe another question just I'm sure a lot of the people here are interested about your stories. So maybe you can briefly share your career journeys and how you guys arrived at the roles that you have, being heads of relationship management teams or sales teams. And how did the CFA help you in shaping that career? Maybe this time Bea first.
Okay, unlike DJ, I have a very short career history. I started my career in Metro Bank, so this was my first job. So I've been with the bank for around 11 years. I started as a management trainee here in Metro Bank, and then right after the program, I got deployed in the trust department immediately. So my first role was already in relationship management. So I had a chance to handle both individual clients at first and then moved up to corporate. And then now, in our structure, we handle both. So in one department, you handle some individual clients, you also handle some institutions. How the CFA program helped me in that journey, I guess number one in terms of certifications. In this line of business, you do have to take a lot of certifications. So be it internal and external. So having done the CFA program, that very rigorous training, it has prepared us in order to pass all of those certification, at least breeze through all of it. And also having that strong foundation, you can actually integrate what's happening in the market into how it relates to different asset classes, and then how in turn it leads to affect your client's portfolio. So being able to understand that, having a good foundation, lets me explain that better to the client. So um, it's all about making them understand. So not all clients are very investment savvy. So part of understanding all the products, all the general economic conditions is translating that to a more client-friendly, digestible manner.
What about you, DJ? Thanks, Bea, for that.
I'm very jealous of Bea because Bea had a very straight path. I've always wanted to do sales and marketing from the start. But my training has always been very heavy technical. So I went through risk management and then portfolio management, and then I ended up in what is my role today. And I think what's nice about the CFA, especially, is we've been discussing this before the talk started, but generally, what's nice about the CFA track is it's not just an analyst track. And thank you for the people who went here on the relationship management track. But at the end of the day, the CFA, when you go to level 3, you'll realize it's really more a relationship management or a sales track. When once you look at the curriculum of level 3, you'll see that it's really more about portfolio management and tailoring the investments to the needs of clients. So I think the CFA was a perfect way for me to be able to do the job that I do right now, because all the aspects of my job as a product manager, which is not only sales oriented but also investment and operation heavy, encompasses a lot of the curriculum of the CFA, whether that's the accounting side, the analyst side, understanding the markets, understanding the economy, but also understanding the needs of the clients, which is very important from a level 3 standpoint. The CFA was very helpful in understanding the whole spectrum of what you need to do to be able to service your clients.
Yeah, I think those are very good points from both our panelists, right? So I agree with you guys that a lot of what we learn in the CFA, maybe most of the people who don't really know what the CFA program has, they really see it as maybe more of a technical training, right? Or a certification that gives them more technical skills. But it's really those technical skills provide a foundation so that you can really understand what products will work for what clients and what types of solutions will work for institutional clients, what types of solutions will work with maybe more high net worth clients, right? So I did come with from a very similar through a similar career track where I really started more in product development, and now I'm selling uh, products to clients. I mean, derivative products even to clients now, right? So maybe at this point, I'll just remind the audience that they can type in their questions in the chat box. So feel free to drop your questions, guys, so that we can direct some of them to our panelists today. So this is your chance to ask the experts. So just to continue the discussion, so what do you think are for I guess for any of the two of you now? So can you guys share some of the challenges that you've faced in your roles now? Because you're dealing with clients and you're navigating complex financial solutions. And of course, there's a lot of different types of clients. So so what are those challenges and how do you manage those challenges?
And maybe I could start. I think the biggest challenge, especially when you're doing relationship management, is managing expectations, especially in markets that are not favorable or bear markets. We've had a few bear markets in the past few years, and going through COVID and going through the high inflation of last year. Those are really periods that test your mettle when it comes to being able to talk to clients, because at the start, when all the investments are nice, and the your portfolios are gaining, it's actually a very easy job. Oh, look, we've made X% for you already. But it's really during those bear markets where you have to provide insights of, hey, this is actually a good time for you to add to your investment, or this is a good time for you to find investments that are able to diversify or lower your risk. And it's always just being able to think of them not only as clients but also as people, because at the end of the day, it's their money. So it's just the ability to empathize with them and understand what they're going through, what they need to, why they're very emotional. And especially if the person who sold it to them wasn't you, and they missold it in whatever way. So just being able to temper expectations, set new expectations, and be able to tell them, everything's going to be all right, is really the most challenging job, but also the most fulfilling part of the role.
Okay, what about you, Bea?
Yeah, maybe just to add to that. Yeah, again, the past 5 years have been a very tough market, especially for most of our clients. So really challenge is to make them understand that It's actually a business cycle. But then again, you're dealing with their actual money, their actual hard work. So sometimes it's not a very easy thing to say if they're facing negative numbers year on year. So a challenge is to explain that this has happened, but we're on top of it. We'll handhold you all the way. Here's our recovery plan. So it's more of really taking them through that journey. It's a difficult journey, definitely, but it's a journey that they have no choice but to take. So our on our end as relationship managers, what we can only do is just soften the blow, explain to them everything that needs to be explained, and then hope that the next year would be a better year for all of us, basically.
Okay, thanks, Bea. Thanks, DJ. So yeah, I think that's really the challenge that I think all of us face when we're talking to clients. Maybe their trades didn't really pan out, right? But I think being a good salesperson, being a good relationship manager, um, you need to be able to sort of get them out of that, or at least develop a strategy on how you can manage their positions moving forward for your clients, right? So it's really being also a solutions provider in times of distress. So I totally agree, and I've also had the experience of having to deal with clients that may not be in a very good position with the trades that they entered into. Okay, so maybe for DJ, I'm not sure if you have any experience in this field, but like since we're talking about the future, um, are there any advancements in technology or maybe in data analytics that relationship managers or sales roles can use? And how does that make them evolve? No, and are there any digital tools that make your work easier, or are they adding more complexities to managing relationships?
That's a very interesting question, and I have two different areas of answers. I think my first answer would be when I'm dealing with institutional clients. And when we deal with institutional, we have two types of different clients. We have the ones that are direct investors and the ones that are basically going to be distributing our products. And when I talk to the latter, which is people who are going to distribute the products, part of the expectation is that you you'd think that they'd know, pretty much the same level um, as you compared to a normal lay person, but sometimes the skill levels are always so different. And given that it is still a people role, you have to be able to temper your emotions. So you have to be able to answer a lot of emails, a lot of queries, and you have to be able to maintain that sanity and emotion. And what's nice about, like, for example, Chat GPT is that you could feed your email to Chat GPT, tell them, I'm kind of angry, but I want to be able to say this in a very nice way. Could you please check if the way I'm answering is polite and it's not, not hurting the client? And that's one of the main things that I really use ChatGPT for, especially for very difficult clients. Sometimes you can't really temper your own emotions, but you could be able to feed it into technology. I think the other aspect that's really becoming so good about technology is the way the technology is able to summarize your data or your investment data in such a way that when you present it to a client, it's easier. You could have a meeting with your client and all the data is there. It gives them a better picture of what's happening. And because it's a better picture of what's happening, you're able to explain with more nuance the details of why an investment went good or an investment went wrong. And I think more and more we'll see a lot of these advancements.
All right. Thanks, DJ. So yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm sure even the three of us, we must have used some AI just to prepare for this panel, right? So I'm pretty sure we did. So I think from my perspective, I think I can also chime in on this question, right? Because um, we sell FX and we sell bonds where from where I stay, right? In the bank. And lately, we've started to launch digital channels where you can buy bonds online, you can do FX online, and even I see some banks offering funds online, right? Where you don't even have to talk to an actual person, and you can just subscribe to funds online.
Yeah,
Right. So
we
I
have
think
that.
that's how the yeah. So I was actually looking at you there, DJ, for that. Um,
Yeah, our funds are on Gcash, so I think that's really one of the benefits that we're trying to do. We're trying to be able to make investing more accessible. So you have all these funds, bonds in online channels, and it makes it so much easier for clients to see it. One of the things that we've also done in our area was to create a not a robo advisory, but basically like a way for clients, especially institutional and wealth clients, to be able to see their portfolios and really dig deep into it. So we have a platform called Wealth 360 that allows them to like see what their return is already based on what they've contributed and what their investments are, which parts of their investments are working, which part of their investments are not. And yeah, technology is just very amazing right now, to the point that I think more and more clients will be able to see their portfolios and see their investments, and it would be it would be able to make clients even understand their investments further.
yeah, and maybe just a last point on that, right? So for the audience, they might think, okay, digital channels, maybe those are technology, maybe more technology track careers, but under the hood, it's really actually these product managers, these salespeople who know what the client needs or what the client needs to see to be able to make an investment decision. And that's where a lot of the people behind these digital channels are actually salespeople. Um, so we have an interesting question here coming from Eliza in the chat box. I'll just read it out for you guys. So she'd just like to ask Mr. De Jesus and Ms. Patelier one question. So, what are some of the most unexpected lessons you learned about the human nature of financial decision making, considering varying levels of financial literacy and personal backgrounds among your clients? And how do you handle this type of situations? Bea, maybe you could take this first.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Eliza, for that question. Unexpected lesson. Okay, we were taught in school that a man is rational, so they should understand the dynamics of risk and return. Right. So high risk, high return, low risk, low return. That's supposed to be the general idea of investing as well. But again, if you talk to a client, that's not the case. So when you talk to a client, first you'll hear the story on how they got that money. Even before you get to sell your products, you will know how they got that amount of money through hard work, through blood, sweat, and tears on their end. So after that, how can you say, sir, but if you want to invest in higher risk, higher return investments, you have to understand that your investment portfolio can be cut in half at a maximum. So it's a very difficult conversation to tell a client that your years of hard work can actually dwindle every single day. um how and actually most of high net worth clients. They're not investment savvy. They're actually very simple people that needs to understand investment. So how do you start selling to them? You actually start from scratch. So you start from explaining what these investments are, how you can make money. It takes a lot of patience, definitely. So again, in terms of selling a product, you don't just say your product features. You actually start from scratch. You invest. You start explaining fixed income, you start explaining equities, how they can make money, how they can lose money. But all of that conversation just to help them understand that a lot of things that can happen, especially again in this bear market. A lot has happened, and the best way we can do is just explain everything, just educate them. Again, Metro Bank also is a advocate of financial literacy. So whether you are a retail client or a high net worth client, we do have programs for financial literacy just to explain to clients about investments because it's not actually taught in school, right? So a lot of it is just you experience it by actually investing by itself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
our
go ahead.
job
Go
is
ahead, DJ.
very experiential, right, Bea? And in the sense that when people start investing, you'd expect some of the clients to have already looked into stocks or looked into like certain companies, but usually that's not the case. The people that really come to us and talk to us are people who, you know, have zero investment knowledge at the very least. And you have to try to what do you call that? Temper their expectations because they feel like whenever you start investing, it goes from 0 to 100 very quickly. Wherein, oh, I want 16%, I want 18%. And sometimes it's like, yes, investments can get you those double digit, triple digit returns, but they're not usually sustainable. So it's about telling clients that, hey, depending on your actual, you know, risk tolerance or risk profile, it's really that might not be the achievable goal that you could experience in an investment. Usually the number over a long period is 6%, 8%. Um, and that's the kind of expectation setting that you would have to provide clients. And another area is clients will be like, oh, the market is up. It went 20%, it went 10%, right? And that fuels their want to invest more. But when you're a seasoned professional within this space, you learn that, you know, that's what actually causes people not to buy low, sell high. It's what causes people to buy high, sell low, and lose a lot. So you're as a relationship manager, your role is really to tell clients that, hey, slow down. Might not be the right time. And then when it is a bad period like a bear market, you know, the market is ripe with opportunity. So it's being able to tell clients the opposite of what they expect. And sometimes that's always the hard part with bridging clients.
Right. I think that's so right. No. DJ and Bea, I think the point is we try to educate clients to be able to manage their expectations. And on Eliza's question, we really see firsthand how behavioral finance is seen in the real world, no? And we actually see clients that do display loss aversion, right? When if you guys are candidates in the CFA, you know what loss aversion is. So clients clearly behave differently when they're down, right? And we see that firsthand, and because we know that it's there, it helps us manage that, no? And it helps us educate our clients about those types of behaviors. So thank you again, Eliza, for that question. Okay, so I'd like to move on to a different line of questioning now. So, given we do have a lot of people who are interested in this role because they joined this career track panel discussion, what advice can you guys give to those who might be unsure if they're suited for a client-facing role? And are there ways to build confidence and the skills needed to succeed in these roles? So maybe Bea first, or DJ, say it, DJ.
I think the first thing that you need to have when you're talking to client is product knowledge. Product knowledge is super important when you're starting to talk to a client, because the more product knowledge you have, the more you could be able to cater the investment to the client. If you don't know all the options that you have to provide to a client, sometimes the conversation takes longer, and the client may not be as interested in working with you, because it makes the client feel like, I went to you for because you're supposed to know X, Y, and Z, but it feels like, no, you're just like me, you're just as lost. And it's always being able to make sure that your client feels comfy, feels well serviced, and also respected as a person. So I think what does make a good relationship manager is, apart from knowing your things, is also being able to empathize, being able to understand. And I think what helps also, if you want to be a good salesperson, is to have your own investment. So you know how it feels to, like, go through investing, how hard it is, what are the struggles that you could experience. Because I think finance and investing, it might seem very technical, very math oriented, but it's also very emotional, because this is hard-earned money. So if you don't have that understanding of how you brought your money and developed your money and also built your money, then it's also hard to understand what the client is feeling. So just being able to have that experience yourself, make your own investment portfolio, so that you know, or you have some semblance of what the client is thinking. It's really what's going to help you be a good relationship manager.
Yeah, I agree with DJ on that. That's my step zero. Before leaving for a client meeting, I have to know what I will present. I have to know all the products that's out there before I even leave, because that builds confidence. Actually knowing your product, the ins and outs of it, the different approaches that you can go through it. Um, in terms of building confidence, I think product knowledge would be your first step actually. And then I agree also on the empathy part. Unless you understand their needs, their objectives, even though you have the superior product, they won't listen to you. Basically, you need to understand first how it would fit on their objectives, how it would fit them. It's a very personalized thing, basically. So unless you're able to bridge that gap between your product and what they need, you will not close that sale. So understand listening, very, very important, not only what they say, but what they don't say, basically. So and once you see that pattern on your clients, again, it will build your confidence that you were able to pinpoint what they need. So yeah, agree on DJ on both sides.
Yeah, so it's really about preparation, no? And being able to empathize with your clients, no? So I like how Bea put that. Sometimes it's not what they say, it's how they react, and how much you know your client, right? So I think that's very good insight from Bea. Um, what about networking, guys? How do you think, how important is networking in these roles? So there's a usual notion that you have to be good at networking with when you're a relationship manager or a salesperson. So can you share any personal experiences where networking played a pivotal role in your career growth? Um, DJ first. Yeah.
Well, I think given that I work with a lot of different types of clients, one of the things that I think about is I don't even think about it as networking. Because I think whenever I put myself in the mindset of networking, I always feel like, oh, this is a job. This is a chore. It's not fun. I don't like going to events just to network. I personally don't. What I do prefer to do is to make friends. So, and given that, I think one of the things that gets forgotten about investments is it's very personal. So just making a personal relationship with your clients, with people, with not even your clients, like people who could help you in the industry, just making friends and seeing like, oh, what can we do together? Um, I think I was born by or I was built with our culture here in Atram, which is very collaborative, wherein you have to just try to find new ways to do things, collaborate with them, understand them. And I think just jumping off what Bea said in the last, sometimes the most innocuous things, the things that people don't really care about, some people give value to that. So just understanding them as a person and looking for like commonalities, that's always like the best way to bond. And uh I think that's even more important when you see your clients, the people you work with as people, you're able to relate to them more, and then you're able to sell to them more.
Uh, Again, I agree also. I do not like networking events as an introvert. It's the most difficult part for me. But in terms of networking, what how I approach it is, for example, I think the best compliment a client can ever give to you is when they refer you to other clients. I mean, that's also a testament to how you were able to help them in one way or another, and then they recommend you to a friend, to a business partner. So in terms of networking, I think I would prefer that level because it also tells me that I've done something correct to my client, and hopefully I can replicate that to some of his friends, some of his business partners as well.
When they refer your network rather than
Yes,
you're the one networking.
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so much more efficient,
Hmm.
right? So I think I agree. So I'm very much like Bea. I am an introvert myself, but I'm the head of a sales team. And I agree with DJ. No, it's really about looking at your clients as people, right? And being able to connect with them at any level. Maybe you have the same interests, the same hobbies. That goes a long way, you know, and building that relationship really makes it a stronger, more sustainable business relationship as well. Um, so it's don't look at your clients as sales, right? You're not there to just close a sale, right? It's building the relationship will be a lot more sustainable, and it will definitely lead to better performance and a better overall career, in my opinion. Okay, so I think at this point we are running out of time. So I'd like to thank our panelists again, Bea and DJ, for sharing their insights today. You know, it's been clear that these relationship manager and sales roles offer exciting opportunities and growth and learning, from developing strong client relationships to adapting to the ever changing financial landscape, the ups and downs. These career paths can be both challenging and very rewarding, right? So, to our audience, I hope today's discussion has helped you better understand these career tracks and how the CFA program can be a valuable asset to pursue your own journey in finance. So, thank you again, everyone, for joining us. And I look forward to seeing each of you chart your own future. I'll turn it over to you, Rochelle. I think we're out of time.
Thank you so much. I've learned a lot in today's session, and I'm sure all of our students here who I'm sure are interested in both finance and sales learned a lot from today's session. Um, Okay, so next here is our way of showing appreciation to our speakers. Thank you, Bea Batalier, CFA, and also DJ, and Mr. Paulo Narciso. So as our token of appreciation, we are presenting to you the e-certificates. Let me read it. First for Bea. So CFA Society Philippines presents this certificate of recognition to Miss Maria Beatriz Batalier, CFA, for her valuable contribution as panelist on the topic of relationship manager or sales career track panel discussion at the PJFIS 2024 Chart the Future, given this 27th September 2024. And yes, we also have for Mr.
Thank you.
Daniel Christopher. Yes, Bea, thank you so much. And also to Mr. Daniel Christopher De Jesus, or DJ for short, CFA, as a panelist, again on the topic of relationship manager or sales career track at the PJFIS 2024.
Thank
And
you,
of
Rick.
course, yes, DJ, thank you so much for being here. And again, I should meet you again. Let's do some venue hunting again.
Of course.
And also to Mr. Paulo Narciso, CFA, for being our moderator for today on the topic of relationship manager or sales career track here at the PJFIS 2024, given this 27th September 2024. All
Thank
righty.
you.
Thank you so much, guys. And I hope to see you sa Prestige Night natin and all other events. And how about you, participants? Kamusta naman tayo dyan? Kamusta ba yung level of learning natin today? I know some of you, baka nakausap ko na kayo, no? You may be our liaison officer for our affiliates, or maybe I've been responding to your inquiry about PJFIS. So I am thrilled na we got this number, because this is the first time that we've offered this track for PJFIS 2024. And we're going to have our 5-minute break, o 'di ba? Para naman you can rest before we start our next session. But please do not leave, all right? Please do not leave. And again, pag gusto mo mag-post about PJFIS, we have the hashtag PJFIS 2024, hashtag chart the future, and hashtag unlocking opportunities. All right. And quick reminder, there will be an evaluation form later at our plenary. Okay? So do not leave, guys. It's just a 5-minute break. It will start now.
The Chartered Financial Analyst designation, CFA, is one of the world's most recognized and respected qualifications for investment. professionals. Earning the CFA charter is a signal you have the knowledge and skills needed to thrive in the investment industry. Completion of the CFA program provides you with a strong foundation in advanced investment and analysis, portfolio management, and real-world skills like financial modeling and artificial intelligence. The program is also designed to ensure you understand the importance of ethics and professionalism in the investment industry and how that benefits society. So how do you earn the CFA charter? The CFA program consists of 3 exams. Each exam requires about 300 hours of study time. Most candidates complete the entire program within 4 years. You earn the CFA charter by completing the 3 levels and attaining the relevant work experience. It is the highest distinction in the investment industry and means you have earned the right to use the letters CFA after your name. As well as being globally recognized by employers, completing the CFA program gives you a competitive advantage in the job market and increases your earning potential. Whether you are a student, an investment professional, or looking to switch careers, the CFA program can help you build a rewarding and successful career in finance. Want to know more? Check out our other beginner's guide videos or visit the link on the screen.
Are you ready for the machine learning revolution? Understanding data science fundamentals and machine learning techniques has never been more important. CFA Institute, the leader in investment education, is proud to introduce the new Data Science for Investment Professionals certificate. Unlike many generic data science courses available on the market, this certificate is tailored specifically to meet the needs of today's investment professionals. It will help you develop the skills needed to apply machine learning concepts to real-world investment problems and best serve your clients and employers. Upon completion of the 5 self-paced courses, you will be able to describe and evaluate machine learning techniques, select and develop data visualizations using Python, apply machine learning to address investment problems, use natural language processing to make investment decisions, evaluate and mitigate machine learning biases. You will be able to use the language of data science and machine learning techniques to explain investment concepts to clients and colleagues and apply the CFA Institute ethical decision-making framework in solving machine learning dilemmas. Upon completion, you will be awarded a shareable digital badge to recognize your accomplishment. Discover new career advancement opportunities. Speak the language of data to better serve your clients. Gain and apply the skills of the future today. Data Science for Investment Professionals certificate from CFA Institute.
Are you looking to kickstart your career in finance? Want to boost your knowledge of the investment industry? Look no further than the Investment Foundation Certificate. Designed for working professionals and university students alike, the Investment Foundation Certificate provides a comprehensive introduction to the investment industry, equipping you with the knowledge and skills you need to excel. Gain a fundamental understanding of the industry structure, job roles and terminology. Explore the types and functioning of markets, investment instruments and vehicles, and the basics of investment management, risk management, and performance evaluation. Discover how to effectively service clients' needs while upholding the highest standards of professionalism, and stay up to date on the latest industry trends. By completing the Investment Foundation Certificate, you'll work more confidently and effectively, distinguish yourself in the job market, and open doors to new opportunities. You'll also earn a digital badge and certificate that you can proudly share with your network. And the best part? You can learn at your own pace, whenever it's convenient for you. Our user-friendly digital platform ensures a seamless and flexible learning experience. So whether you're looking to enhance your skills in your current role or explore a career in finance, join the thousands worldwide who have already gained a competitive edge with the Investment Foundation Certificate.
Welcome back, everyone. Our 5-minute break is done. And oh my, there you go. I hope you can see me now. We've had an incredible day so far, and we're now down to the final session of this specific career track. But don't worry, because we are going to end on a high note. Up next is a must attend session, Bridging the Gap, Matching Financial Products to Client Needs. This session will explore how financial professionals assess client needs and recommend the right products and services, ensuring that clients achieve their financial goals while building strong, lasting relationships. So get ready for a powerful session packed with knowledge and strategies that you can apply in your own career in the near future. And now it is my privilege to introduce to you our guest speaker for today. Our speaker is currently a global relationship manager for local corporates at HSBC Philippines. She specializes in providing financial solutions such as credit and lending, trade finance, cash management, and capital markets to some of the large conglomerates here in the country. She is the single point of contact overseeing the partnership between HSBC and its corporate clients. She is a seasoned financial professional with deep expertise in risk management, particularly credit risk. Her career paths key roles in institutions including Citibank, BDO, Bank of China, CTBC, where she spearheaded initiatives in credit risk management, policy development, and capital adequacy. Her expertise has been instrumental in driving credit portfolio growth and operational efficiencies. She holds a dual degree in applied economics and management of financial institutions from none other than De La Salle University, Manila. She earned her CFA charter in 2019. Let us please give a virtual round of applause to Miss Naomi Abigail Chua, CFA.
Thank you, Rich. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for that introduction. So, a pleasant afternoon, everyone. So, I'll probably just share my screen. Bear with. Can I confirm that you can see my screen?
Yes, yes.
So, thank you for joining this session. For especially for the design for the relationship manager sales track. This is entitled Bridging the Gap, matching financial products to client needs. So as mentioned earlier in the introduction, I'm Naomi. I'm a relationship manager in HSBC. So I mostly deal with corporate clients. So I think for this session, this would mostly relate to our when I mentioned clients, this would mean corporate clients, but I think the same principle will apply if you also will handle individual clients or retail clients. So if you are interested in becoming a relationship manager or be on a sales track, I hope this session will help you understand the role further and help you to become more effective in this role. So I think for this afternoon, a better way to actually go through this exercise is through a case study. So I'll walk you through first on the case study. This is a case that's close to reality. It's a deal that I've had recently. So we'll go through first on the details of the case, and then we'll go through understanding how to understand the client needs, and then go through the different financial products and how to match these products into the needs of the client. And then we'll also go into what are some of the challenges in matching the products and the needs, as well as I'll share some best practices for you as a relationship manager, as a financial professionals. And then we'll end with some of the anecdotes and tips and takeaways at the end. So I think there's also a Q&A after. So you may also ask your questions after the discussion. So without further ado, we go through the case study first. So let's just call a company ABC. It's a medium-sized food and beverage manufacturing company in the Philippines. So it's currently seeking to improve its working capital cycle, and expand its operations. So the company has been very, very profitable for the past 10 years, but its existing factory or manufacturing plant is limiting its ability to grow and expand and meet the increasing demand for its products, as well as its ability to grow in other markets, even outside the Philippines. So now you don't have to you just have to note the background on the company itself. I will go back to the case study in each of the topic. So the first step is to understand the client needs. So for this case, I think in anything that you do in life, you need to first know or get information, or you have to know the client's business. In this case study, you have to know the client well. You have to know its business, the industry it's in, where it operates, its growth ambitions, its strategy, and as well as any of its risk tolerance or risk appetite. So that would really entail reading through the company's website, any available disclosures in the internet. If it's a listed company, then you go through the PSE, and then any publications that you see. That will help you understand the company, how the company operates. It's also good to understand how the company is organized. So you look at the ownership, its organizational structure. So that way you'll be able to assess the company's long-term and short-term objectives and somehow get a sense of the time horizon. Like, let's say in the next 12 months, they intend to expand or do mergers and acquisitions, or maybe in the next couple of years, in the medium term, they intend to go into a new market. So apart from knowing the client, you would also need to go through the financial status of the client. So by that, you would need to go into the financial statements. So you need to know the level, their financial health. So you need to know their cash flow, debt levels, and whether they have sufficient capital for them to venture into whatever they plan to do. So once you have all these information, you can now identify the gaps in their financial strategy. So you'll know whether they need to raise funding, or how to manage their potential risks when they do venture into a new market, or let's say they intend to expand their capacities. So, and another consideration is also the regulatory environment. So apart from knowing the client, you also need to have an understanding of the macroeconomic landscape where it operates, as well as any compliance that they need to adhere to, and regulations that they need to watch out for. So because those would factor into the client's decisions, financial decisions, and non-compliance to some of the regulations could cost them money. So going back to the case study, so how do they understand the needs of the client, so company ABC? So we noted earlier that they want to increase their capacity of the factory to meet increasing demand. So they would need money for the new capacity and to expand. Another thing is that they want to improve on their working capital cycle. So that would mean they want to manage their payables and the collections. So that would entail probably a longer cash conversion cycle for the company. And the third one would be hedging strategies to manage currency risk. For example, because they intend to enter into a new market. So that would expose them outside of the Philippines. So that would expose them to the currency of that market. Another one is since they're in a manufacturing business, they are exposed to commodity price risk. So these are just some of the financial needs identified in the case. So, and then now that you know of the financial needs of the client, now we look at some of the financial products that are available to them. So this list of products is actually not exhaustive in any way exhaustive. There are a lot of products available in the market, given a lot of institutions, but not just banks, but also PE firms, all insurance firms, all have different products of different iterations. But these are just some of the key products that you normally see that's offered to some of the corporate clients. So we can actually divide it into three main parts. So the first one would be the credit and lending. So you'll see here the normal loans, the short-term loan, long-term loan, bilateral loans. You also have the trade finance. Well, I'll not go into each of the products because that's not the point of this session. You just need to be aware of the different financial products that's out there in the market. So for credit and lending, normally this would be targeted to raise funding for any future growth or expansion by the client. So this will be essential for them to grow further because you can only use your own money up to a certain point. If you're the owner, let's say you're the owner of the company, you have, of course, you have limited equity. So you can only infuse money into the company up to a certain point. So you need leverage to take on leverage to grow. So that's the purpose of this set of products, the credit and lending. And then the next one would be I can categorize it into investment products. This would entail earning returns on, like, let's say, excess funds or cash of the company. So you have your investments in equities, the equity market, the fixed income securities or the corporate bonds or corporate notes, or even the retail bond, the treasury bills. You have the mutual funds, exchange traded funds, and the REITs. And lastly, the last category for this would be the risk management tool. I call them the risk management tool. This is primarily to protect the company against downside risks. So you have your your insurance there and the derivatives. So these are mainly to hedge against any downside risks. So to match these products to the client's needs, you need to have a good grasp on each of the product features and benefits. But ultimately, among these products available, we need to understand what actually makes sense for the client because they each have their own features that may or may not work for the client. So matching the products, you need to ask yourself what makes sense for the client. So I have listed down some guide questions to allow us to design a more accurate and tailored solution to the client needs. So the first one would be what financial products are available to address each specific need. So you have your specific need, you list down what are the potential products that can address the need. So an important question to also ask is how long does a client intend to repay the loan? So if it's a long project, a long gestation project, you would match it with a long financing because there will be a mismatch if you finance it with a short term, but the project return is a long period, takes a long time for the company to gain back the money. So the next point would be how soon do you expect to see returns from your investments? So that would be a balance between the risk and returns for the company. So do they want The shorter investments would normally take a lower return, and a longer investment would give you a higher return. So it's the longer the tenor, because the longer you're exposed to the risk, so you have to take on higher return. You have to ask for a higher return. So, and then the last point would be why those products are suitable for the client's financial goals and constraints. So you have to tie it back to your understanding of the client. How does this relate to their overall strategy and goal, whether it's short term or long term? So there's actually no one size fit all solution or product that you can just apply each time you go to a client. You really need to understand and know the client well for you to be able to match the right products to their needs. So relating it back to the case study, company ABC would then need longer term financing to match for the increase in capacity, the factory expansion, and potentially they could also consider issuing a bond for the longer term expansion. So these are just some considerations. There are certain considerations for you to arrive at this proposal. This will include the currency of the financing that you need to raise, that the client needs to raise, the interest rate, whether it's going to be fixed or floating, the tenor as well, whether it's going to be a 5-year, 3-year, 5-year, 7-year, 10-year loan, as well as any security that you would actually ask from the client to mitigate the risk of credit risk or non-repayment. So there are a lot of considerations before you arrive at the proposal. So it's not a really straightforward exercise. So it's not merely knowing listing down the product benefits and then just directly matching it to the needs. You have to go deeper and understand the client really well so you can synthesize all the information and arrive at the right solution. So the second point is on the cash flow management. So it's the management of the working capital cycle of the client. So they want a longer conversion cycle. So one way to address that is through a structured trade financing. So you can either discount your trade receivables, or the flip side of it is the trade payables. So of course, the client wants a shorter collection period to get the money ahead, and a longer supplier payment, so they get to hold on the cash longer. So that's one way to address the cash flow management for this company, for the company ABC. And the third point is on the risk management side. So given that they're considering or contemplating on entering a new market, they would be exposed to the foreign currency movements and volatilities around it. So one way for them to manage it is to take on forward contracts or any hedging or derivative products available. So it would depend on the suitability of the product to the client, how sophisticated your client is, how well do they understand the structure, the different risks of that hedging product. So one way for you to know whether a product is suitable to the client is to assess them through a suitability questionnaire or suitability assessment. So that's part of the onboarding when you onboard the client, and part of your conversations as well. So another potential risk to the client would be exposure to commodities given their manufacturing company. So one way to manage input costs or the cost of goods sold, the increase in commodity products could lead to increase in cost of goods sold and effectively affecting their contraction affecting their gross profit margin. So one way is to enter into also hedging commodity futures to manage the input cost. Another one is to also get insurance on their new factory as they add on the new capacity. Lastly, for potentially an R&D project, this is quite for a longer term plan for the company. They can raise funding for the R&D, the research and development through debt or equity. So, while this exercise is actually may seem simple or straightforward, but in actuality, matching products or solutions to client needs can be challenging for different reasons. It depends on the industry where the client is, the nature of services or the products that you offer. So some of the challenges, common challenges in matching products and needs would include communication gaps. So clients may struggle to clearly articulate their objectives, their needs, which may lead to misunderstanding on our part, or there's going to be a mismatch in expectations. The second one would be the complexity of products. So financial products often have complex structures. So some of it you may think about, it's just a loan. So it's a money I give to a certain person for a certain number of period that I expect to be repaid. But that is often not the case, especially for institutions or corporate clients, because you have different terms and conditions, which will make it difficult for anyone to actually compare each of the product, which one is better, which one is not. Like, for example, as I mentioned earlier, the loan product itself, you have a lot of iteration and variations on interest rate. It can be floating, it can be fixed, it can be tiered, it can be an option. You also have different fees and repayment terms. So some financial products also have may also lack some transparency. So it's difficult for the client to actually understand the true cost and benefit of the product to them. The third one is on the market changes. So any sudden changes in the market can shift clients' priorities. So for example, you have already agreed on a fixed loan, but let's say the interest rates were cut by the Fed or BSP. So it would, if you are if you're the client, you would not go with the fixed loan because the interest rate just went down. So you'd probably prefer a floating rate as interest rates go down. So for you to ride on the declining interest rates. So any agreements or discussions given the sudden changes in the market could make it irrelevant and outdated. So I think one important thing to remember is that financial markets are highly volatile. So interest rates, fees, product availability, these change frequently. So, and the next one would be the client itself. The client itself is also may also change their requirements or the goals over time. So this would make it also difficult to deliver to them the right solution. And considering there's also on their side that you also need to consider the time and the budget constraints that they also need to factor in. So finally, we are also faced with regulatory challenges, as these may arise as a result of compliance requirements, legal obligations, and evolving laws and regulations. So this actually makes it difficult to meet both clients' expectations and needs while adhering to industry standards and regulations. So if you're considering taking the CFA exam, ethics is a very important topic, and adherence to industry standards and regulations is one of the pillars of the ethics. So just tying it back to the case study, potential challenges in matching the financial products where for this case study include the misalignment in financial goals. So company is seeking aggressive growth and expansion while also needing liquidity. So you need to balance the short-term and the long-term needs and which one is to prioritize. So clients with a long-term focus might prefer investments with higher risk and potential returns, while those needing short-term liquidity may prioritize safer, low-risk options. So they would go with lower risk investments or lower risk financial instruments. The next one would be the market volatility. So floating interest rate on the loan. There's also a consideration whether to raise it in the peso, peso currency or a foreign currency. So in addition, there's also a product availability and access that you need to consider because like for example, HSBC is a global bank. While we have global presence, different countries have different product availabilities and access. So if you go to let's say the UK, you may have a different set of products available there that's not available here in the Philippines and vice versa. So because that is driven mainly by different regulatory and compliance restrictions in different countries. So there's a difference in what you can and cannot do in each of the country. So the new market, let's say for this company, will also have a different set of demographics that's different from the Philippines. And economic landscape is also entirely different, which makes it all the more challenging to navigate. So apart from acquiring the technical knowledge, as mentioned in the previous slides, I think it's also equally important that you also build soft skills to be effective in becoming a relationship manager. So for you to understand the client better, you also need to build trust. I think as mentioned earlier in the panel, you need to also build rapport with your clients. So we actually have this famous trust equation that's developed by David Maister. So he co-wrote the Trusted Advisor book. So if you have time to read, I highly suggest you read that book. So it can also help you be effective in if you're interested in pursuing relationship manager role. So when they were analyzing how some engagements with the clients were successful and others were not, they came up with this equation. So they say that trustworthiness is actually a function of three criteria. So we have the credibility. Credibility is the skill and credentials that we bring in and how people actually experience our expertise. R is the reliability. It refers to the action that we take, our predictability, and how people find us dependable. So, and lastly, I is the intimacy. So it's the extent to which others can actually confide in us and perceive us to be discreet, empathetic, human, and actually safe to confide with. So, and then you see that it's there's a denominator here that's called self-orientation. So this is the thing that would actually destroy trustworthiness because it's an inverse. Self-orientation has an inverse relationship with trustworthiness. So when I say self-orientation, it is the extent to which others feel the focus is on ourselves rather than to them. So when you're purely serving your own selfish self-interest, building the trust is difficult. So so the higher the credibility, reliability, and intimacy leads to higher trustworthiness, while self-orientation reduces trust. So for you to be able to gain the trust of the client, you need to have a combination of all these criteria. So I think one of the best practices to also be effective in your role is to also be an active listener. You must be sincere in your words with the client. And I think one important thing is to also develop skills. You have to do continuous learning because this role entails actually a lot of things, knowledge about a lot of things, because your clients are mostly evolving as well. So you need to grow with them for you to be effective in your role. And lastly, also collaboration. As a relationship manager, you don't just deal with the client, you also deal with the internal stakeholders within like the institution that you work for. So you need to be also collaborative. So these are just some of the client needs that, I mean, in actuality, that they also want to be for you to meet. So being a relationship manager, you have to offer a unique and valuable perspective to the client. So you also need to help them navigate alternatives, give them options for whatever they want to venture into. And there should be also ongoing advice and discussions, and help them to know which ones to avoid and which ones to actually can take on. And lastly, you also need to educate them on news, on issues, on new regulations, as well as any maybe market practices that's out there that they can also apply. For you to be valuable, it's more than just offering the client products. So you also need to advise on certain things. So you're actually not just selling a tangible asset or product, you're also selling something intangible, which is trust. So just to bring it all together, in the case study, I'm sharing the outcome of the case. So company ABC did successfully raise the necessary capital. So we did raise it via bilateral term loan after we consider the size of the company, the amount, the currency, and tenor of the financing required. So bilateral term loan was the instrument or the product that made sense among all the products. So to manage their working capital, supply chain financing, we did supply chain financing as it helped improve liquidity. It allowed them to achieve their goal of lengthening their days payable without increasing debt leverage. So instead of taking on short-term working capital, we went with discounting of their invoices to help them achieve a longer trade creditor or supplier credit terms. So one way to also help them reduce the risk of exposure to currency and protect their margins is to go into derivatives. So we did commodity hedging and foreign currency hedging for them. And lastly, R&D. We help them raise equity just to, because the R&D would help them keep ahead of the competitors. So we help them raise via equity just to, because equity made sense, because R&D is something that's takes a long time, a long gestation period for them to reap the rewards of it. So I want to just share a bit on a good strategy that I think that's exemplified by Apple when they developed the iPod. I hope you're all familiar with the iPod when it came out. I think you can adapt this to become an effective financial professional. So I think in this case, Apple's focus on the customer experience over technology. So the iPod, I think, exemplifies the customer first approach, where they put in a lot of research on the average music listener's pain point when it comes to the portable music. So they solve for the by releasing the iPod, they solve for the pain points of the client, of their customers. They put in all the songs in the palm of the client's hand or the customer's hands. But the other selling point of the iPod, such as the battery life, higher storage, and ease of use, these were just the other selling points, but these weren't really necessary for the. These were already more than enough for the customers. So, by having that customer first approach and understanding the pain point of the customers, they actually became the leader in portable music in terms of volume and reputation. So I think that's one tip that I can share for this session is, understanding the pain points of your clients is critical for you to be effective. So if you are considering a role in finance, such as the relationship manager track, I think it's important to remember that it's not just about selling products. It's also understanding people. I think it's also mentioned previously in the panel discussion. So, every client, whether it's an individual or a corporate, they all have their own unique dreams and challenges and goals. So as financial professionals, I think our job is to listen, understand their journey, including the pain points, and offer solutions that truly fit to them. So if you need to actually use the local language, to converse with your client, just to make sure your message gets across to them, you can definitely use it. Whether it's so it's in the context of, like, let's say outside the context of a corporate setting, so it's whether it's helping a family build wealth, or guiding a corporation through complex transactions, matching the right products to the real needs of the client is key to building the trust and long-lasting relationships. So I think the goal at the end of the day is to create value, and more than just closing deals. So yeah, so I think it's also equally important for you to also put yourselves in the shoes of the customers. If you were in their position, what would you actually think, and what would actually make sense to you? So I think for you to be really effective is you also need to have that open and clear communication. So you need to have a regular conversation with your client and regular discussions with the client, because there are things that given this day and age where you can just read everything online, I think there's still a value in hearing it directly from the owners or the key decision makers about about their plans on the company, because there are also nonverbal language or cues that you can actually use and see, the small gestures that could actually give them away. There's more to there's more to there are things that they are not saying, but they're actually expressing it in other ways, like body language or certain facial reactions. So you can actually infer from those interactions and get a deeper or more a deeper understanding of sometimes there's more than what is said. So a regular interaction for me it's critically important as well for you to be effective in being a relationship manager. So I guess that ends my presentation for this afternoon. So thank you for your time, and thank you for joining this session.
All right, guys. Um, thank you very much, Naomi, for walking us through, right? In the process of how do you bridge the gap of matching the financial products to your client needs and also to your valuable tips. I would like to call on now our moderator for this session for the Q&A, Mr. Monzen Malyari, CFA, Market Risk Specialist of China Bank. So Naomi and Monzen, the floor is yours for the Q&A session.
Yeah. So thank you for that. Hi, Naomi. I guess the first question is there has been a lot of expertise that you've shared in terms of like looking at your client needs and what financial products to use. Have you found that your own experience, like your own personal experience, has been shaped by this as well? Like, do you now read like news differently? Do you look at your own personal finances differently now? What has been the impact of your work to your like your own personal circumstance?
I think just like how corporates plan for their future or plan for the immediate next 12 months. I think that's one thing that I started looking into because when you're an employee, you actually don't really have time to think about what's your financial plan in the long term, or you don't really plan for the I mean you plan for it, like for example if you travel, you plan to travel, you plan for it, but that's just up to that. You don't really necessarily think about like how do I fund my retirement if I do intend to retire at a certain age. So I think that's one of the key things. I mean, when I was put into this role, I think that's one of the key changes that I actually applied to my own personal financing. I mean, I do think about my retirement. I actually got a retirement plan, you know, just to prepare for it.
Yeah, definitely. And I think as much as looking at corporate needs is has a lot of parallels to like looking at your own personal needs. Definitely. And one thing I think that has a lot of parallels, I think, is the role of technology. So I guess my next question then is like, what has the role of technology been like in your work in corporate in referring like solutions to your corporate clients? And what do you think is the future of where technology can go in this case?
Yeah, I think in terms of technology, clients are becoming more sophisticated. They're starting to recognize that they need to automate some of the processes as well. So I think being part of a global bank, we actually have solutions in place that could actually cater to clients' needs in terms of automating certain processes. So I think um, technology is here to stay, and it would take on a much larger role in the future, I think. But it doesn't necessarily entail that you will lose your job. I think
Mhm.
this sales role is actually one of the safest roles within the bank because I don't think AI or any artificial intelligence solution is there yet to replace a sales manager, because at the end of the day, on the client side, you're still dealing with humans. So dealing with humans, take on a lot of variables, you know. And one way for you to take advantage of the technology is actually to use it to help you, given the sheer amount of information that's out there. You can actually use technology to help you synthesize information and digest all this information and data and put it into a meaningful way for you to be more effective to the client, so you can actually just take on what's necessary and what's important. You can use technology to help you sift through the hundreds and millions of data and information.
Well,
So I
that's
think
good to hear. So I guess it's safe to say, yeah, it's safe to say that once our audience, our college students get into the workforce, is it safe to say that they would still see like financial consultancy as a viable opportunity?
I think yes, because you still have that client interface. I mean, that human interface. I don't think that's replaceable by any artificial intelligence or technology. So I think you need to use technology hand in hand instead of thinking about it as a replacement of human capital or um or any human, human, us employees, right?
Got it. Which I guess leads nicely to my next question. So, for our audience here who's very interested in terms of where you're working currently, like, what's your best advice to them? Like, what resources can they go to? Perhaps what skills do they need to develop at the moment so that, like, when they go to the workforce, they are ready to tackle those responsibilities.
So I think one way is to keep yourself updated with the current events and economic updates, as well as one way for that is to read through the news, maybe listen to any economic briefing if you can participate. I think a lot of institutions are now offering like public economic briefing. um One way is also to for you to be, I mean, to help you if you're interested in this role, is to practice speaking confidently in public. So you can maybe try something like this in this forum. You can try, delivering a speech to people. It helps boost your confidence, in conversing with C-suites, senior people in the corporate clients, in your clients and your clients. So, and I think one key skill that's important is to be able to synthesize all information that you read, you know, and learning how to highlight or pinpoint what's important in the, like, let's say in 100-page document, what's really important and what does it really say. I think that's one important skill to have when you are going to enter into this role. Some for resources, I think there are a lot of resources right now that's easily accessible compared to in the past where we don't have it. We didn't have the luxury of it. Coursera, I think, has a lot of materials on it. LinkedIn also has, right? And yeah, I think you can also read The Trusted Advisor. I think it's a nice book to read. You can be, you want to be in a relationship manager or sales track.
Yeah. So I guess what I hear is communication skills, synthesis skills, and of course the lots of resources already in terms of like the in case the subject proper, for example, is interesting, like corporate activities or corporate finance. I guess my last question. Those are all definitely good advice, but I wanted to circle back in terms of course, when you always say hear about clients' needs and then suggest products, there's always this temptation of like you have to be like efficient in terms of what you're gonna give them. There is always that risk of not being able to remain ethical or like actually being able to provide the right advice on an ethical basis. How do you ensure that you remain ethical in your line of profession?
I think one way is to balance it out. You don't just say yes to the client all the time. You also have to think about whether it makes sense and is it the right thing to do. I think that's a key fundamental question to ask every time you decide on something. Even if it's on a personal basis, you need to say for certain, is this the right thing to do? I think that's one key important question to ask before you go decide on anything or decide to do anything.
Right. Yeah, that's very important, definitely. And I think that's a good point to end there. While we have a lot of resources that you can provide, it's also important to like know where what is really the right thing to do. In a word, I suppose. Perhaps a final word from you, a final advice to our students.
I think just on being in this role, you really have to be comfortable in speaking. Even though I am an introvert as well. I think most of the panelists earlier are also introverts. So I think I mean, it doesn't mean that you're introvert, you can't get into a sales or a relationship manager role. You just need to hurdle those I mean, internally you have to know also yourself. I think you also need to do self-reflection just to know what what's comfortable for you. I mean, you don't have to force yourself. You need to get comfortable with where you are. So, and also one thing, the more you know, I mean, the better it is. You get comfortable. So, I really highly suggest that you read as much as you can, just to
Right.
have that perspective, and it will help you also the ethical side because it would widen your perspective.
Correct. So gain knowledge, be comfortable, and remember to be ethical, I think. So those are very nice last words. Thank you for that. And thank you for this wonderful session.
Thank you, Max.
All right, that's a wrap for the relationship manager sales career track. But before we go, we will be presenting our e-certificate to our speaker and to our moderator, and we'll also have a photo op, so don't leave yet. All right. We'd like to present this certificate of recognition to Miss Naomi Abigail Chua, CFA, for her valuable contribution as speaker on the topic of bridging the gap, matching financial products to client needs here at the PJFIS 2024, given this 27th September. And we also have our certificate to our moderator, Mr. Monzen Malyari, CFA, here, of course, at the PJFIS 2024 Chart the Future. And may I please request everyone to turn on their cameras for a photo op with our speaker and moderator. Ayan, time to shine na, guys. Sige na, alam ko naka-ready kayo for photo op. Come on, pakita na natin yung ating mga beautiful and handsome faces. Kayo mahiya. Nasa school ba kayo or nasa bahay? Doesn't matter. Maybe nasa Starbucks, ha? Tumatambay muna. Hello, guys. Turn on your camera. Nako, bakit natakot ka sa teacher mo? Ganon. Nasa school daw yung isa. Sabi mo, saglit lang. Di ba, Paolo? Sabihin mo kay prof, wait lang, saglit lang po. Pipicture lang. No ba naman yan, Eliza? Anong shy? Di uso yan dito. Tingnan mo, si Miss Naomi, she said, diba? Kailangan, you build confidence. Ang dami kong sinabi, gusto ko lang mag-picture sa inyo, no? Ay, naka-disable. Ako ba naman? Grabe naman ako. Start video. Ayan. Okay na ba? Nagre-request ako, tapos naka-disable pala, no? Pasensya na kayo sa lola ninyo. Medyo hirap sa technology. Ayan. Seeing faces na. Hello, guys. My goodness. Alam niyo ba kung pang ilang PJFIS ko na to? Yung mga nag-PJFIS dati, nakakasama na namin sa CFA Society Philippines. Nagbo-volunteer na. And now, I have a new batch. Paolo here is our summit ambassador. We also have here some volunteers, no, from our affiliates. Welcome, welcome. And we still have 2 more sessions after this, and we have another day tomorrow. Let's have a photo. Okay lang yan kahit anong suot mo. Hindi to makakarating kay kay prof. This is just for us, no, to commemorate this day, and we have our speaker and our moderator. All right, I think we're good. Paano ba to? Ayan, sige. Okay. 1, 2, 3, smile! Sinong katabi mo, Paolo? Niloloko ka sa likod, oh. Isa pa. Meron pa tayong next page. 1, 2, 3. Hi, Anya. Hi. Raya ba yan? Mika, Andre. Thank you very much, no, for taking part in this breakout session. See you guys at the plenary. Thank you so much. Meron tayong 2 sessions pa, ha? So go back to our main webinar. You already have that link. That was specifically sent to your email today. All right.
Thanks,
Thank you,
everyone.
guys. Thank you, Monzen. Thank you, Naomi. Hope to see you in Prestige Night.